Hello, people of God. How you doing? And I'm coming to you to see the spiritual dangers of having just sex. There are spiritual dangers of just having sex. I had a viewer ask me about this, and I told her that I would do a video on it. She asked me, what are all the dangers, the spiritual dangers of just having sex and fornication? I told her I would do a video on it because there's so much to say that, so I couldn't type it all in. But there are spiritual dangers after having just fornication sex, just having sex. 1 Corinthians 6:16 through 20 says, there's more to sex than mere sex skin on skin. Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. As written in scripture, the two becomes one, since we want to become spiritual, one with the master. We must not pursue the kind of sex that avoids the commitment and intimacy, leaving us more lonely than ever, the kind of sex that never become one. There is a sense in which sexual sins are different from all others. In sexual sin, we violate the sacredness of our own bodies. These bodies that were made for God, given and modeled to model love, for becoming one with another. And it says, or didn't you realize that don't you realize that your body is sacred? It's a sacred place, the place of the Holy Spirit. Don't you see that you can't live however you please, squandering what God paid such a high price for? The physical part of you is not some piece of property belonging to the spiritual part of you. God owns the whole works of our bodies. So let people see God in you, through you, and around you. This is pretty much what 1 Corinthians 6:16 through 20 is speaking of. Now, it's so much on this subject, so therefore I was it took me some days to get all my notes together, but some of my notes is on the phone. So here we go. There are spiritual dangers after having just sex. And I want to go to the first part of it. Some of the spiritual dangers of just having sex is very dangerous, people. The first is catching feelings. You would just catch feelings. It says the potential for disaster resulting from sex relations that began in the early recovery. Just catching feelings. It said just sex relationship where you're catching feelings like a brilliant idea to a newly recovering person. It's like an addiction. Specialists are aware of experiencing this method. So you're catching feelings. That's a danger, because when you have sex, you do catch feelings. I remember when I was just having sex and just fornicating in my past life, you catch feelings. A lot of time women say, well, I can just have sex and just a one night stand, and men too. You think about that person because you all came together and you became one, but it was illegal as you came one under each other illegally. You weren't married, so you catch feelings. So you catch yourself thinking always on that man or always on that woman, so you're catching feelings. Next, the dangers of having sex is energetic cords. The dangers of it, you're transferring spirits. That's what I said on one of my videos. Well, it was a shorts, and a viewer asked me, can I explain it? But I told her I'd do a video because there's a lot of explaining. The main thing, you're transferring spirits. You're transferring spirits from that person that might have slept with the other person, and now those spirits are attaching to you, because you don't know if you're having a one night stand and you're just having sex with that person, you are not married, you don't know what spirits is bringing you, because the spirits, the person you had sex with, and not long that if they're having sex with another person, you're bringing on those spirits too. So this thing is really deep. It's a spiritual world. Everything is spiritual. The next thing I want to speak on, what brings the dangers of just having sex is the energetic cord. Energetic cords are physical, unseen attachments to individuals, behaviors, events, energies, and entitles. These cords are attached during the physical, emotional, psychologically, spiritual, intimate encounters. As such, they easily affix themselves to us in sexual encounters with or without catching feelings. These energetic cords form in any relationship regardless of nature or category. However, in the dysfunctional situation, they serve to keep us attached to negative, sabotaging, or dark energies and behaviors. In that way, they keep us enslaved and powerless, literally like puppets on strings where our energy is not our own. Negative or dark energies. with regard to sex with no feelings, the energy of the emotions and empty exchange physically. See, it exchange. I'm going to read that again. The emotions and the empty exchange of physical energy purely for the purpose of serving the ego is a setup for attraction, negative or dark energies. These energies feed on fear. So insecurities, abandonments, issues, fear of commitment, or any number of fear-based emotions and conjunctions that prevent people from wanting to be emotionally vulnerable or catching feelings. Now here's the psychological part of the psychic, or the energetic, parasites. This is another part of it. It says although the negative or dark energies, psychic or energy parasites can attach itself during sex, there's like a dark cloud. Let me put it like this. However, unlike negative energy that simply attaches itself, it hovers itself over people like a dark cloud. So people, when you're having sex outside of marriage, you don't understand, it's in the physical, spiritual. It's in the physical and spiritual, but it starts in the spiritual first. It's unseen dark clouds hovering over you. You have these dark spirits around you because why? Because you've having sex out of order. You're having sex outside of marriage. And therefore, that's a violation up under God. So therefore, these clouds and spirits are around us, these negative spirits. You bring around them yourself anyway. And some people say, well, I know what you're saying. Well, what if the man or the woman don't have any bad spirits? Well, we don't know that. They're going to have some type of bad spirits. Because why? Because they're having sex outside of marriage. And you draw negative spirits and these negative demons around you due to you having sex outside of marriage. You automatically bring these spirits around you. So a lot of people don't understand. Even if you might be a good person, you might not have sex with somebody in 2 years or a year, and then you come together with that person and have sex. Guess what? It's bringing automatically. Satan has an automatically right to bring his demons around you and that person because you're having sex outside of marriage. So you still bring in demons automatically, and there's a number of demons in this world, so many. You automatically give Satan a legal right to come around your life when you're having sex outside of marriage. Also, you're opening portals in your homes. You're opening portals around your children, and in your home, you're feeling unease. You might be watching TV. You might be reading a book, and you start feeling unease, like something is in your home. Those are those spirits that you have had when you had sex with that man or that woman. Those spirits are lingering. They're there. And the bed that you're having sex on, if you have a bed, if you have any of you all have a bed that you had fornication, sex outside of marriage on, get rid of that mattress, because those spirits are inside of those mattresses. I'm telling you, it's inside of those mattresses. A lot of ministers not going to tell you this. A lot of people on YouTube might not teach this. But you must get rid of those mattresses. If you're trying to turn your life around, first you must repent. But if you're trying to turn your life around, you must get rid of all those mattresses where you fornicated on. I had to do it in my past life because there are spirits in those mattresses. I could feel when I was turning my life around in that mattress that there was something there on that mattress, and something, because on that mattress, this thing is really deep. On those mattresses, those same spirits, even though you're trying to turn yourself around and live for God, you will feel something trying to touch you or have sex with you. I know because I experienced this in my past life. See, everything spiritual, it happens in the physical, and it can happen right there in your home. And it likes to wait. It like to wait to at night in darkness when it does things like that. Sometimes it could do it in a light. If you're, you got your room light on, reading or doing something, you can feel something touch you. That mattress that you had fornication sex on, you cannot keep that mattress. Throw the mattress away, buy your new one, a brand new one. Don't buy the used mattress, because 9 times out of 10, used beds and used mattresses, people have had sex on it. And you can't say, well, they might have sex. No, because sex is a natural thing. Somebody have had sex on those used mattresses. So get rid of your mattress. Next I have on the dangers of sex is let me get to it. I want to say, in my notes I have, after sex, the power of the body, the power of the mind, and the power of the speech is decreased. It decreases. You hear that? After sex, the power of the body, the power of the mind, and the power of the speech decreases. Next, all the diseases in the body are due to sexual involvement. Next, the physical strength and the mental strength and the intellectual strength and the power of egoism, all of these are exhausted because of, non-celibacy. Because of non-celibacy. It increases the layers of ignorance covering the soul. One becomes unconscious while awake after sex. Did you catch that? I'll say it again. One, meaning a person, one becomes unconscious while awake after having sex. Why? Because after having sex, 1 to 2, 3 days, you're walking around in a trance after having sex. That's an unconscious awake after sex. That's unconscious while awake after sex. Because sex puts you like in a trance. So by the next 2 days or the next 3 days, you're unconscious because of the sex. See, sex, and while you're awake, walking around working, you're unconscious for the next 3 days because of the sex you had outside of marriage. Why? Because sex is strong and it's spiritual. That's why we must be married if we want to have sex. You're woke, but you're unconscious. Because, see, sex clouds the mind. The inner faculty of knowledge and the vision becomes trapped inside of sex. You hear that? I'll say it again. The inner faculty of knowledge and vision becomes trapped inside sex. It destroys all divinity within one. With the loss of divinity, one becomes like an animal. Humans lose their humanness. One cannot attain knowledge without, practicing celibacy. Sexuality is born out of attraction, and from that repulsions occurs. When it occurs, it rises to cause for revenge in the next life. Therefore, sex is a cause of vengeance because you're wanting it all the time. Sex only leads to a lower life form. This is because millions of people die in a single act of sex. Even if one does not have the understanding, he still takes on the liability, and he doesn't even know it. Sex is such that one day's sexual activity does not let one attain any meaningful concentration on anything for 3 days. I just said that. I said again, sex is such that one day's sexual activity does not let one attain any meaningful concentration on anything for 3 days. I just said it, because your mind can't concentrate. You can't focus. You can't focus on any task because your mind is focused on that sex that you just had. When one abstains from sex for a month, his stability in concentration and focus is greatly improved. See, just without having fornication outside of marriage for a month, it abstains. For a month, it says his stability and concentration and the focus is greatly improved. The illusion of sex is such that it will sink all, even the one who thinks he has no attachment to anything in the world. This illusion of sex has sunk great saints and masters from tremendous spiritual heights. Yeah, a lot of great saints, a lot of ministers. Most ministers are in a sexual relationship outside of their marriage, and that's adultery. See, people don't understand. Sex is dangerous. There's so many dangers of having sex. You have spirits hovering around you. You have open portals. You bringing on the demonic transferring the demons from the other person you had sex with, and whoever they might have had sex with, demons. That's why so many demons, they run to you. They're around you at night. They're around you during the day. You might not notice it while you're working. They're around you. So next I want to go to, and then I'll be done, the dangers on sex. It gives you soul ties. It gives you soul ties. And a lot of people think, well, even the man, well, I can just have a one-night stand, but a man can have a one-night stand more quicker than a woman. Because, they just wired different than women. The man deposits himself inside of us women, and we are the receiver, and the man deposits. So let's say within that 1 year span time, ladies, you have slept with 3 different men within 1 year. Them 3 different men deposit themselves inside of you, and guess what? That deposit of that sperm gets inside of the women, and it gets inside of the woman bones and bodies, and it gets to it goes all the way up to the brain. Okay, you got 3 different men, different semens inside of you. So therefore, it's going to cause you to have schizophrenia. You're gonna act it's gonna make you feel crazy, and you're gonna act out of order character. You're gonna feel anxiety. You're gonna be feeling depression. Why? Because those 3 different men. One of those men could have been a murderer. The other man could have been just a big liar. And the other man could have been, I don't know, he stole. So all those spirits, juices that's inside of you, and it connects through your bones and through your body. You got 3 different men in you, ladies. So therefore, it changes your character. It changes who you are. You feel like, oh, feel like you're crazy. You don't know what's going on. You can't focus. It's because you got these 3 different men you slept with during that year inside of you. Because a man deposits, we receive it. It's like the man deposit. It's like a deposit of money from a teller machine. When you deposit your money, the machine receives it and it keeps it. So when a man deposits himself inside of us, lady, and we receive it and we keeps it, and the juices flows in our body and inside our bones, within our body, inside our mind, that changes. That's part of him inside of us. So therefore, we're going to think like he thinks. We're going to take on some bad habits And it's very negative. That's dangerous. That's the dangers of having sex outside of marriage. Again, you bring on soul ties, unhealthy soul ties, when you are having sex outside of marriage. And I have 7 signs you have unhealthy soul tie. Well, number 1 could be an abusive relationship. A lot of people is in a lot of abusive relationship. And once again, if you're married, you don't have to. God don't believe in abusive relationships, so you do have the right to leave. But right now, I'm talking about some couples that's having sex outside of a marriage. 7 signs of unhealthy soul ties. You receive that. That's dangers that you receive as having sex outside of marriage. You might be in an abusive relationship, and so you feel attached to that person, to them, that you refuse to cut off the connection and set boundaries with them. That's number 1. Number 2, I can't think of that. Number 2, you have left the relationship maybe a long time ago, but you think about the other person all the time. That is an unhealthy soul tie. Number 3, whenever you're doing anything, make a decision to have a conversation with anyone, you feel like that this person is with you, or watching you. Number 4, when you have sex with someone else, hopefully your husband or your wife, hopefully you can hardly keep yourself from visualizing the person that you have a soul tie with. Number 5, you take on the negative traits of that person. See, I just said that about the deposit and receiving. It said number 5, you take on the negative traits of that person that your soul tied in to, and carry the offenses whether or not you actually agree with them. So you carry the offenses, and let's say if you might carry that into the into your marriage. Number 5, you defend your right to stay in a relationship with the person that your soul is tied to, even though it is negatively affecting or even destroying the important relationship in your life. It could be your husband or your wife. Number 7, you have stimulously experiencing mood swings as the person your soul is tied to. You catch that? You take on experiencing and moves as this person, as the person your soul is tied to. You take on them. This can even include sickness, accidents, addictions, etc. It can go on. Killing, hating, etc., etc. It goes on. I want to go back to 1 Corinthians 6:15. It says, Do you know that the one who joins himself to a prostitute is one body with her? For he says, the two shall become one flesh, even though you're not married. These are the dangers of having sex outside marriage. It's really spiritual, people. So think about, stop having sex outside of marriage if you are, because these are dangers, and these dangers is around you right now if you're having sex outside of marriage. And thank you, viewer, for asking me to do this video. Sorry it took me so long. I just been working. I've been doing some things, a lot of other things in my life, but these are the dangers of having sex outside of marriage. And I hope this helped you all, anybody who pop in this video. All right, I'll be praying for you all. I love you all. Stay blessed, and I will see you soon. Bye.